And good evening to you tonight. I'm Marnie Hughes, joining you from our NewsNation studios in Chicago. And I want to welcome all of you joining us online from across the country as we take a closer look over the next few minutes at this week's missing case. It is a story that has been in the headlines before, for decades, in fact, the mysterious disappearance of Jodi Huisentruit, a morning show TV news anchor from Mason City, Iowa. Investigative correspondent Rich McHugh traveled to Mason City recently, and he interviewed some of the last people to talk to Jodi before she vanished. He spoke with the investigators working the case. He talked to friends, along with people in the community all these years later. And in a moment, you're going to have a chance to join in the conversation and ask some questions of Rich as well. He'll be joining us live, along with Caroline Lowe. She is a journalist and member of the Find Jodi team, to talk about the case as well, the facts, the evidence, and what we know to this day. First, though, a little bit about our missing series here at NewsNation, so you're familiar. Our team at NewsNation Prime launched this missing series last fall after the disappearance and murder of Gabby Petito. And while Gabby's case captivated the nation, we quickly realized that there were thousands of missing person cases that were not getting media coverage. Men and women, boys and girls of all races and backgrounds. And our mission is to bring each and every one of these stories into the spotlight. Since our series started, our reporters have traveled the country talking to family members, friends, and law enforcement. And we want to give you a quick look tonight at just a glimpse of some of the cases we have covered.
I don't think she's in the water. I think they're looking in the wrong place.
Do you believe that Michael is alive?
I know in my heart he's alive.
I really believe I'm gonna have my son back.
That's my daughter that's missing, bro. We're not going to just let this become a cold case.
It's a puzzle, and there are key pieces that are missing.
I don't feel like they're deceased. I feel like somebody have them.
I get them no matter how long it takes, how hard it's going to be. I won't give up. I will never give up.
Every one of these missing people matter to the people who love them, and those people want answers, and it has become our mission to help in that effort. And tonight we focus on Jodi, and we chose this case tonight because this week marks 27 years since Jodi, a young journalist, disappeared on her way to work in the early morning hours. Jodi has now been gone as many years as she was alive before she vanished. Here tonight is correspondent Rich McHugh.
You're watching KIMT Morning.
1 hour morning
Time is 6 o'clock.
I've got some urgent news to tell you.
Thank you so much for joining us.
27-year-old Jodi Huisentruit had a bright future in TV news.
What's your name first?
Jodi Huisentruit. Jodi Huisentruit. I'm Jodi Huisentruit.
But on June 27, 1995, the hopes and dreams of the hometown TV anchor mysteriously faded to black. The morning news anchor was due at Mason City's KIM-TV at 3:30 a.m. to anchor Daybreak. By 4 a.m., her producer Amy Coons called her.
So by 4, she wasn't in. So I called her. Obviously, I'd woken her up. Didn't seem anything out of the ordinary. Just, Jode, where are you? Oh, what time is it? I'm like, it's 4 o'clock. You coming into work? I'll be right there.
It was the last time anyone spoke with Jodi. She never showed up for work that morning. They called police to check on her.
By the time I got here to the station, it wasn't just a case of Jodi was ill or Jodi overslept. It was, there's police at her parking lot, Doug, and they're looking at it as a possible crime scene. You know, that just stops you in your tracks. And crime scene, what the heck?
Mason City Police said they arrived at her apartment complex after 7, found nothing unusual inside Jodi's second-floor apartment. But outside, the officer found signs of a struggle next to her car, still parked there. The key to her red Mazda Miata bent. Her hair dryer, earrings, and hairspray found scattered on the ground nearby.
Information that we have acquired today and over the investigation would certainly lead us to believe it's possibly a foul play disappearance.
As search crews scoured the area, the people of Mason City on edge.
Boy, it hit home. Makes you feel bad to see somebody like that so young. She went to my church, and we just thought $1 million of her.
It's very difficult for everyone in Mason City. We're just hoping that someone calls from, let's say, Colorado and says, hey, we found her, she's fine, she's on her way home. That's what I hope.
A Mason City police lieutenant said that they found the toilet seat was in the up position in Jodie's apartment, raising questions if she had a male visitor. But the police chief told the local Globe-Gazette the next day they found no evidence that anyone was with her prior to her disappearance. Another Mason City police official later said there were no eyewitnesses to her disappearance and very little forensic evidence was found at the crime scene. A partial palm print was obtained from Jodie's car and a strand of hair was also discovered. In the weeks leading up to her disappearance, Jodie had spent time at nearby lakes, boating and partying with friends, among them John Van Cise, a man 20 years her senior, who'd named his boat after her.
I remember him throwing her that birthday party shortly before she disappeared.
That was on June 9th. Kuhn says that on the 27th, the morning Jodie disappeared, before they even realized she was gone, she received a strange call in the newsroom.
But the phone rang at 7:20, and I thought, oh my God, I don't have time for this. Picked it up. And, hi, is Jody there? No, Jody's not here. Can I ask who's calling? This is John. I'm like, okay, John. What do you need? He said, well, where's Jody? What's going on? Is she there? Is she sick? What's going on? I'm like, John, I don't know. All I know is she's not here. I gotta go. Click.
Later that morning, Jodie's friends, including John Van Cise, arrived at her apartment complex. Police say Van Cise told them he was the last person to see Jodie alive, that she had come to his apartment the night before to watch a video of the birthday party he threw her weeks earlier in Clear Lake. She was in good spirits when she left here, Van Cise told the Des Moines Register. He also said police interviewed him and gave him a lie detector test, which he says he passed.
I've been in the police station a lot, talking to them. I gave them all the information I could possibly give them. I tried to help as much as I possibly could. I've been able to verify where I've been and my times. That's not a problem. And they called me at night and asked me a couple of questions. No problem. I'll do anything I can to help. Anything I can to help.
DCI and the FBI joined the investigation. The focus turned to a man who lived 2 blocks away from KIM-TV, convicted serial rapist Tony Jackson, and another convicted sex offender, Tom Korskadin. Mason City police interviewed both men, both denied involvement, and were later ruled out by police. It also raised new questions about a police report Jodie filed the year before she disappeared, claiming she was being followed by a man in a white truck. Jodie was never found, and no one has ever been charged in her disappearance.
Is it safe to say this is a homicide investigation?
We still have it classified as a missing persons case, and until there's evidence that would point us in a different direction, that's the angle that we work from.
This is Iowa's most famous unsolved case. What makes this case so difficult to solve?
The challenge is the age of the case. I think, there's no way to go back and preserve record. Technology was clearly different when this happened back in 1995. There's just challenges to going back and essentially recreating the past.
What is ultimately going to solve this case? Is it like one more piece of a puzzle? Like what are we looking for here?
I think there are a few different things that could help us with this and that could be useful. Certainly there's a wish list for us, but I don't think that's anything we discuss publicly at this point.
The ground search for Jodie on day 1 included about 20 members of law enforcement, and by the end of the day Tuesday, search dogs from points all over Iowa.
Scott Fuller is a member of Find Jodi, an all-volunteer team of journalists and former law enforcement created in 2003 by 2 TV journalists, Josh Benson and Gary Peterson, to bring awareness to Jodie's case.
The hope being somebody has some information they've been reluctant to share, or they may not even know they have information that might relate to Jodie's case, and that the introduction through TV or the internet is enough to bring them forward to the police and give that last piece of information that they need.
Find Jodi has produced over 30 podcasts, hosted events to appeal for information. They've even put up billboards asking residents of Mason City not to sit in silence and to come forward. They've also done their own digging on the people who've been questioned over her disappearance, including John Van Cise.
We know that the police are very interested in Van Cise. There was a search warrant that was executed on John Van Cise.
That warrant, executed by Iowa authorities on John Van Cise in 2017, was sealed and has been resealed each year. They also convened a grand jury in 2017 for which Van Cise was subpoenaed to testify and provide finger and palm prints. Iowa authorities convened another grand jury 20 years earlier, too, according to LaDonna Woodford, a friend of Van Cise who says she testified for 5 hours. Grand jury proceedings are not public. We do not know the outcome, but it's safe to assume he was not indicted.
To explain the outcome of either of those grand juries?
No, that's not something that, those would be confidential court proceedings, and I wouldn't be at liberty to comment on those.
In April of 2019, Van Cise came forward and issued 2 statements via an intermediary, saying he had absolutely no involvement in the apparent abduction of his friend, Jodi Huisentruit. He denied having had a romantic relationship with Jody, said that he was in a relationship with another woman at the time, and that Jody was like a daughter to him. He also said that since the disappearance of Jody, he has fully cooperated with all local, state, and federal law enforcement officials. He says he has been the subject of 2 voluntary polygraph tests, DNA testing, finger and palm printing. He also disclosed he had recently been diagnosed with moderate and advancing Alzheimer's disease, a claim we cannot independently verify. Meanwhile, in Mason City, Chief Brinkley insists they are continuing to work the case.
We haven't stopped. We're still working on this. I think it's something that we want to be absolutely certain about at the point that we would make a move on something, and at that point, with the county attorney having some game plan for how to move ahead. And so I think we'll be very deliberate about how we handle that. We're being very deliberate about that now, particularly as we get different questions about who parties are or are not possible suspects, and we want to be very careful about that because we'll need to answer all of those questions as well in a court of law at some point, we hope.
Sounds like you're getting close.
I think that we have some working theories that we continue to work on.
Jody's family had her declared deceased in 2001. A tree that they planted in her honor 27 years ago now stands quite tall in front of KAM TV, and the community desperately wants some closure.
There's a lot of survivor's guilt there, like why did that happen to Jody, why not to me? We may never know the answers to so many of our questions. After 27 years, Jody was 27, anniversary on June 27th. She was 27 when she disappeared. She was alive for 27, and it's been that long since she's been gone. I'm tired of this. We need to know what happened. I feel like, I don't think she'll ever be found, but I think we're close to maybe having some answers, I hope.
So many holding on to that hope tonight. Joining me now, investigative correspondent Rich McHugh, and also this is where you come in at home. We want you to be part of this conversation as Rich and I discuss the case, and in a moment, Caroline Lowe, a journalist as well, who is part of the Find Jodi team, will be joining us. So if you have questions, please post them below, and I will present them to both Rich and Caroline. Rich, you went back to Mason City all these years later. You talked, as we saw, with the chief, with those who knew Jody. What has this case, her disappearance, the mystery around it all, done to this community? How has it impacted people, even all these years later?
This case has clearly ravaged this town. Talking to the chief, he's a new chief. He hasn't been there that long, but talking to certainly Amy Coons and Doug Murbach, her news director, they're living with this. They don't talk to everybody, and they're very controlled about who they actually give their voice to. Speaking with Amy, she's very emotional about this. She hasn't talked to people for a long time, a number of years, and she finally is starting to open up about it. And several times during our interview, she got teary, and like, I think she has extreme survivor's guilt. Like, why did she survive and her colleague didn't? Why was she the last person to talk to her? All these questions that she is still trying to work through. This little town, Mason City, I grew up in the Midwest. This is very similar to an area where I grew up. And so it's very relatable for me. And all these people, there's half of this town, I'd say, that has no idea about this case, that are anybody under 20 years old, no idea. But everybody older than that, it hits home as soon as you say Jody. So it's like this divided demarcation line, you could say, but they're still grappling with it.
Yeah,
Clearly.
well, and you think too, I mean, especially then when they're searching for Jody, Rich, there's fear, right, that there could be someone who abducted her, a killer on the loose. Even to this day, somebody out there knows something. Somebody did something to Jody. She just didn't up and vanish. So that's the scary part, the unknown. You know, the chief, it did strike me, very tight-lipped about what they're willing to share, how far of a limb they're willing to walk out on. I want to encourage people at home, as you listen to some of this sound that we're going to play, what questions do you have about this case? Make sure you join in our conversation. Rich, I want to play a piece of sound with Chief Brinkley talking about where they're at in this case right now and how close they may be. Let's listen.
We continue to work the case. I mean, I think there's been evidence of that in some of the information that's gotten out in the last couple of years of some of the things we've done with court documents. You know, we haven't stopped. We're still working on this. I think it's something that we want to be absolutely certain about at the point that we would make a move on something. And so, you know, at the point that we would do that, it would not be something that's not very well thought out. That would be very planned in terms of the age of the case, the cooperation with the county attorney, all of the things that would need to happen at the point that we would get ready to do that would be very coordinated.
Rich, it sounds to me like he's thought about how they would release information if they in fact knew something. I mean, he's gone through the motions of this is how we would do it if we were ready.
Yes, that tells me that when we were sitting in the interview, when he said that, I thought, wow, he's actually processed this further than I thought, meaning he's gone through the motions of thinking, if we were to prosecute this person or try to bring somebody to justice with working with the county attorney, working with like all these parts working in unison, that tells me that they're not just blindly throwing something at a dartboard. Like, they believe, rightly or wrongly, that they're like the working theory is what he called it. I think they believe their working theory is right, and they're kind of trying to line everything up to be ready to actually act.
Right.
That's what it said to me.
Nope, they have to base it on evidence. They have to base it on the facts. So let's bring in Caroline Lowe now. She is a journalist. She has been following Jody's case closer than most, and she is also a member of the Find Jodi team. Caroline, good to see you. You and I worked in the same city in Minneapolis, and I don't think there's anybody in that community that didn't know about Jody. Almost 30 years later, so many people across the country, when you say Jodi Huisentruit, you put her face on the screen, people go, oh, that's the morning news anchor from Iowa who disappeared. Why did you take on this case? Why did it become part of your mission, your passion, your focus?
Well, initially I got involved because I was covering a Twin Cities rapist who was arrested a couple of years after Jody was abducted. I went down that path for a while. Police ruled that person out. But once you get on a case like this, and I've done this on a number of other missing person cases, but once you get on one of these cases, you get close to the family. You get close to her loved ones, her friends. And I have found even after I left WCCO, where I worked in Minneapolis and covered this 11 years ago, it stayed with me, and that's when I joined the Find Jodi team. I think one of the other things that stays with us, and I'm sure you related, is she was part of our extended news family. She was not a national story to those of us covering it back in Minnesota. She was a Long Prairie, Minnesota gal, hometown gal, who hoped to work someday at one of our stations. I could easily imagine her having wound up working side by side with you over at Fox 9 or with me at WCCO. So relatable, and she just vanished. The other thing that strikes me so hard, and I've covered a lot of difficult cases. I believe you were there when Jacob Wetterling was missing, the other big case in Minnesota history. And there's so little to go on here. No eyewitnesses. We didn't have the cell phones back then. We didn't have the surveillance video. So little. At the most, forensic evidence we heard about was a palm print on the car that may or may not be connected, one hair, which may or may not have anything to do with anything. I can't think of a tougher case that I've ever worked on.
Yeah, and now they're trying to use modern day technology to go all the way back and kind of retrace steps. Caroline, I'm curious, and Rich, jump in here too if you have anything to add, but in terms of the evidence, you know, I always knew that they found all of her items strewn about the parking lot near her car, outside her apartment, but in all of the searches, did they ever find any other piece of evidence somewhere else, some other item of Jody's or anything that was another clue?
That's a really good question. As far as we know, they have not found anything, but I think if they had, We would not have heard about it if it were something significant that they could test for forensics. I mean, we have all this great DNA testing now, but you still have to have stuff to test. And if all you have is the palm print and you have maybe get touch DNA or you have a hair, you know, it's tough. And as far as we know, nothing else has been found.
Why does the name John Van Cise keep coming up in conversation around Jodi's disappearance? He has said time and time again, I had nothing to do with it, but his name keeps circling back, even as late as 2017 with this grand jury.
I think one of the things that for us that keeps it out there is 2017 was the last time we saw something official on Van Cise. For years we've heard his name, we heard all the suspicions early on and nothing that ever went anywhere. But then in 2018 at Find Jodi, we got a tip from somebody who saw online that there was a sealed search warrant. And we thought there is some activity. And then in addition to the search warrant, we learned that there'd been a grand jury, that's a federal grand jury in March of 2017. So you had two significant pieces of going on in relation to John Van Cise. We have not seen that kind of thing since then, but given years and years of nothing that we are aware of, and then to see that, it stays with you. What is it that made them so focused? It happened less than a year, just over a year after the new chief came on. We don't know if maybe, like in Jacob Wetterling's case in Minnesota, they brought in some additional people. Maybe they brought in some FBI experts that took a look at things and said, maybe there's some different things we can try here. We just don't know.
Yeah. Well, and Rich, the one thing that struck me, I've known about this case for years. I've read about it. I've watched all of the pieces, even the national pieces that have been out. The phone call that the producer said she got later on that morning from John Van Cise, I'd never heard that until your report tonight.
I had never heard it either, to be honest. And when I sat down with her producer, Amy Coons, and she said that, I thought, wow, this is new information. I've been watching this and studying this case for years myself. And when she said that, I thought, this is new information. Caroline should actually speak to this as well, because she knows that there's a counterpart to this, this part of her story. Caroline, what would you say?
We first heard about that a couple of years ago. Amy actually talked about it publicly for the first time on another program, Up and Vanished. I had not heard it before, and we spent quite a bit of time at Find Jodi talking to various people at KIMT and others to say, how do we not hear this? Nobody else remembers that. Amy has consistently recalled that, and I asked her at one point, she said the phone call was about 7:15 or so. What helped her remember is she had a 7:25, I believe, cut-in break-ins either at 7:25 or 8:25. I said, how do you know he didn't call at 8:15? And in her mind, the newsroom was empty. She thinks there would have been more people there. So we just don't know, but she has not budged on that. She told us that in a podcast a year ago. She told us that she told Rich that she told police at the time, that she said they didn't write it down. So it's a mystery. It also is contradicted by LaDonna Woodford, who said she was out walking at that time with John Van Cise. She testified before a federal grand jury, she said in 1997, that she was out walking. Well, if she was walking at 7:15 and they didn't have cell phones, John Van Cise couldn't be calling the newsroom. So I don't know how to reconcile these conflicting recollections. I believe both people are very sincere in their recollection, but we don't have records. We don't have phone records to compare it with.
Right. Just another layer to this. We always encourage people online to you both to join in the conversation, ask any questions. We got a question from a man named Chris tonight, and he wants to know, was she, as in Jodi, the only person missing, or were there others? I'm assuming at the time that Jodi went missing, were there any other disappearances or crimes that were being investigated? Caroline, I'll let you answer that one.
We have not found a similar one in the immediate area. There is another flyer that's been up in the Mason City Police Department next to Jodi's for a number of years. A young woman disappeared in 1983, Grace Esquivel. It'll be 40 years next year. She up and disappeared. Her 6-year-old daughter was staying with her parents. That's never been solved, and her name often comes up when they talk about Jodi's case. They say, and other missing people. No indication that the two are connected, other than you have two young women. Both disappeared in June, and they're still missing all these years later.
Rich, in your discussion with Amy, and part of what always stood out to me was that Jody had filed a police report about someone that had concerned her enough to call police, a white van or truck, when she was out running. What more did Amy say about anything that Jody had shared with her about her safety, her personal safety or concerns leading up to her disappearance?
If I recall correctly, and Caroline, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it was Amy who was saying, and others were warning her, like, you shouldn't be out. You're a public figure. You shouldn't be out kind of rollerblading and out in front of your apartment. And it was a concern for her. So at the time, Caroline, is that right? Is that how you recall it? Like that others were concerned with her?
Basically, she was out at 6:30 on a June night. And, you know, to me, I can't see why that would have been a safety issue. And there have been other reports. In fact, an investigator was quoted years ago as saying that this happened actually when Jody was on her way to work one morning, that somebody followed her in the truck. We never found a second police report indicating that. We also found a number of people, including Jody's co-workers and her boss, who never heard about this white truck. I think Jody didn't want to make a big deal and draw a lot of attention. But I think having been in the business, we have people that look at us, come up to us, to go to the level of making a police report. That had to spook her. That had to affect her in a way that said something's going on. And then we know in March, just a couple months before she disappeared and about 8 months after the truck incident, Jody took a self-defense class, and she told the instructors she felt somebody had been following her. Nothing specific. It wasn't en route to that class. So I think Jody had sort of that gift of fear, that sense of something going on, but at the same time trying to downplay it with friends and family.
Well, and Caroline, I was perusing the website, Find Jodi, and I know that you all had a statement from her family, and I think about them so often, all these years later, the unknowns and just the nightmare that they've been living. I know they declared her dead, but they talk about what you just said. They said, we never thought a tragedy like this would happen to our family. Jody was on guard about her personal safety. She lived on the straight and narrow and was very concerned about her reputation wherever she went. I'm curious, because you guys have been at this so long, do you get tips that you pass along to authorities? Do you get pieces of information that that help in terms of clues or evidence that, because you know the case so well, you think could be the one thing that could lead to some answers?
We do. The toughest thing is to know what is today's rabbit hole, whether it's going to be tomorrow's big tip. We get a lot of things. We encourage people to go to police. There are people who come to us who haven't thought of that, or who, or for whatever reasons, they've had relations with the police that didn't go well. But one of our main goals with our podcast now at Find Jodi and on web is to try to build the most accurate database of information. There's been so much bad information over the years, and I think with bad information, it can discourage people to come forward with information because the bad information might conflict with the significant piece. So we are trying to make the record straight and continue to, as our billboard says, we had it a few years ago, it says, somebody knows something, is it you? We changed it last year to be more urgent, to say, don't sit in silence. The time to talk is now. We interviewed an FBI profiler, retired profiler a few months ago, who was the lead profiler in the Golden Series serial killings. She's convinced, pretty good chance that whoever took Jody is still in Mason City area, never left the area. And we saw that with Jacob Wetterling, Danny Heinrich, you might remember him, never left the area. She feels that it's really important to keep the pressure on, keep the visibility in Mason City. That's why, as long as we can, we will keep up a billboard with Jody's face on it that's staring down at maybe somebody driving down the street, going to a coffee shop, as well as just making everyone aware that we're not giving up. But I think the answers could easily be in southern Minnesota or in northern Iowa, in Joey's viewing area.
Yeah, well, a chilling thought, and as we've said time and time again, somebody knows something, and putting her face out there is the most important thing we can do in sharing her story. Caroline Lowe, thank you. We are thrilled to partner with you and investigative correspondent Rich McHugh. Wonderful report tonight, eye-opening yet again in such an important case. 27 years this week since Jodi Huisentruit disappeared. We'll continue to follow the case very closely. Thank you to you both tonight, and also thank you to our audience online, as always, for taking part in our story tonight. Every Wednesday night, we bring you missing cases. This week, it's Jodi. Tune in next week, 8, 7 Central, here on NewsNation, on TV and online. We'll see you then. Good night.